Are about to get started. Let me hit OK. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much. There we go. Thank y'all so much for joining. My name is Shannon. I am a dietitian and I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. And for those of you who have never heard this conversation before, you are in for a treat. We are going to be teaching you about a protocol that is changing people's lives. I have been in the healthcare industry for 19 years. I've been in organ transplant, liver, kidney, pancreas. I did some in bariatrics. And for the most of my career, it's been in nephrology, so dialysis, and then a wee bit in the pharmaceutical cells with selling phosphate binders to people on dialysis. And I have to say, the last 3 years, my life has completely changed. I never in a million years thought that I would be on a Zoom platform teaching people all about metabolic health. And it is because of these two natural plant-based supplements that just, I've never seen anything like it. If you add up the 3 years that I've been involved in this and compare it to my whole career, I've seen more people get better in the last 3 years than in my entire 19 years. I am so blown away. And so I'm excited that you're here, because we are going to teach y'all, what is this? How is it changing so many people's lives? And why it may be something that can help you or a friend or a family member. But before we get started, I am going to bring on someone who is now a dear friend of mine who I met on social media. Imagine that. Talking about this amazing protocol. She listened, she heard, and it has changed her life. So, Tanya, my friend, share with all of us what this has done for you, your daughter, and your husband.
So, Unicity, the Feel Great system, has been a complete life changer, life saving protocol for us. Brent had bypass surgery a few years ago and, was hammered down on a lot of medications and found the Unicity protocol. And as soon as he got on it, within that first week, he no longer needed his long acting or short acting insulin. And in about 3 months, he had lost 42 pounds. And then now he's no longer on statin drugs. So
And
it's
and he,
really,
I'm sorry to interrupt. So Brent is your husband. He
yes.
had it, what, 27? He
Yeah,
had
27 is, he had his first stint at the age of 27. And, they hammered him down on statins. And then he ended up being a type 2 diabetic following that. And then, of course, they throw on all the meds for type 2 diabetes. And, a few years later, he ended up with more stents and then ultimately bypass surgery, 3 years ago at the age of 45. So, we know now that those meds were not saving him at all. They were actually doing more harm than good. He gets on the Feel Great system, and literally within a week, he's off 3 meds. I mean, he comes off Ozempic and he doesn't need the insulin anymore. And then hop along a few months, 3.5 months later, and we go to the Cleveland Clinic, have labs done, and his cholesterol is beautiful. So we knew then that this was something that was working. We gave it the 90 days, coming in thinking, well, aggressive coronary artery disease, type 2 diabetes. It's going to have to take something pretty powerful to convince me that, that this is good. And immediately, he was coming off meds and I came off acid reflux medication. I knew within the first couple of weeks of being on it, I didn't have to have my prescription acid reflux medication anymore.
and
Um,
you've lost weight.
I
Uh,
lost 30. It's here. I'm down 32. I lost 24 in 90 days. Brett lost 42. So yeah, I'm off three
your
meds.
daughter and your daughter. Tell us
Yes.
about your daughter.
So Kendall, she was pre-diabetic. We were not aware of this. We had to switch pediatricians when hers retired, and whenever they did lab work on her, they come back as her A1C is a 6.1. So, and her triglycerides were elevated. And I didn't want to wait 90 days. So we got her on the protocol, just doing one balance every afternoon at dinner. And in 30 days, I had her retested, and her A1C went from a 6.1 to a 5.4. And her triglycerides had dropped over 100 points.
And how old's Kendall?
She's 13 now. That was when she was 11. Her triglycerides now are like 83, and her A1C is, in the low fives. So it's beautiful. And she just does one balance. I mean, she don't even do the tea. She just does the balance every afternoon at dinner.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
your sister has one kidney and has basically lowered her creatinine, reversed
Hmm.
her CKD has gone backwards. Her blood pressure's controlled.
Absolutely. Yep. This has really, really saved her with her kidney health. So, yeah, it's been amazing for me and my family. That's for sure. Because Brent's off 7 medications. I'm off 3. So, I mean, I had migraines forever. I was on prescription Nurtec for migraines, and I no longer have to take Nurtec anymore. Not on that. IBS-C medication, completely off of that. So,
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your
yeah,
story, Brent's story, Kendall's story, and we're so happy to have you. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank y'all so much. So Tanya's story is just one of many. I mean, and you can hear her husband before he was 30 already having cardiac problems. Her daughter before even becoming a teenager already pre-diabetic, has the genetic markers for cardiac disease as well. And Tanya all have just adopted a natural protocol, and their life has vastly changed. So with that being said, we are going to go in. I'm going to tell you what this protocol is, but first, we are going to talk about poop. As a dietitian, it's kind of a laughing joke. Every time I'd walk into a room, the patient would just tell me about their poop. And, it's just normal to me. I can talk about it at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It does not matter. But many of you may not feel as comfortable talking about poop, but after tonight you will, because we all do it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And believe it or not, it's probably something that you think about more than you would like to. And if it's not normal, then we certainly think about it. So I'm going to bring on someone else I met on social media, Dr. Urban Kiernan, who is one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. Not only is he a lipid specialist, and I just learned he's a poop specialist. So without further ado, Dr. Kiernan Urban, I'm going to let you take it away.
Shannon, so thank you very much. Hey, everybody, round of applause for Shannon for just kicking off this call in an outstanding fashion. I'm so excited to be here and just share with everybody. And also, Tanya, thank you very much for sharing your inspiring story with you and Brent and Kendall. It's always amazed at the level of success that you guys have had. So it's again, absolutely thrilled to be here, and I will start sharing my screen. If everybody can turn around and see that, Shannon, just kind of like let me know. Are we all
Yeah.
good?
Yes, but it's not. Yep, you're good.
We're awesome. Okay, so I'm Dr. Urban A. Kiernan. I'm the founder and CEO of iMetabolic Biopharma Corporation. Yes, I own my own drug company, but I'm not the bad guy. I understand the lane that pharmaceuticals actually play. Um, it's the reason why God has put me on this earth in terms of developing solutions, but nonetheless, there has to be a level of accountability on the part of the patient. And this is where unicity really has got me going in terms of an additional direction to my career, just simply because this puts the ball back into our court that we can absolutely control. So healthy gut equals healthy you. Absolutely excited to be here. And so what we're going to be starting to talk about is the gut microbiome. And some of you have probably heard about this before. Some of you, this might be brand new, but what we're talking about is a symbiosis. And if you guys can go and be a nerd like me and appreciate the photograph on the right-hand side, my heart goes out to you because, symbiosis, we live, even though we think of ourselves as autonomous beings, we are actually in union with multiple different organisms. We've got microbiomes all over our body, but we're going to be focusing today on the gut microbiome. Now, contrary to popular belief, your gut microbiome actually begins in your mouth, and then it obviously ends up somewhere else, as Shannon was talking about. But nonetheless, your gut health and your gut microbiome is extremely complex, and it is grossly underemphasized here in Western medicine. They put a heavy emphasis on pre and probiotics, which I'm kind of lukewarm about, just simply because we are all unique individuals. And just because you can increase a particular bacterium within your digestive tract, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to give you an appropriate solution to one's problems. And this is a big component now within longevity and health span. I just wanted to throw that out there because these two terms are becoming so marketed right now. They're actually starting to see backlash against them. Not another longevity thing, not another health span thing, and people start rolling their eyes. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that this battle is actually taking place. And so speaking of battles, we've got this gut microbiome, composition. And this is just a nice little cartoon kind of showing everything laid out between the good and the bad. But nonetheless, all of these different types of colonies, depending upon where you're at in your digestive tract, they're actually competing with each other. They're actually like warring tribes that sit there and fight over real estate, even on the good side. And this actually plays an important role, especially when you start looking at your gut microbiome health. And so, what is the function of the gut bacteria or gut microbiome? Well, it's a lot. Beginning with, breaking down the food components, um, the production of short chain fatty acids, which actually go and promote nervous system modifications, such as what occurs in your eyes and allows for vision, protects against epithelial injury, and the list goes on and on. So long story short, we got these little critters. Um, we can't live without them. Okay. Unfortunately, sometimes it feels like we can't live with them either, depending upon what we're dealing with. And this is why so many Americans struggle when it comes to the concept of poop. And a lot of times that is caused by what's known as gut dysbiosis. And that's basically your microbiome gone wrong. I just put this picture up on the right, and its intent is to be really small. Don't worry about it because there's a lot of science that takes place. But long story short, this is a growing area of science. And as your gut microbiome goes awry, it actually leads to the development of multiple different diseases. This is highly affected by diet, lifestyle, as well as chemicals. And when I say chemicals, that includes pharmaceuticals. So, like Shannon used to sell phosphate binders. I guarantee it, those bad boys had a huge effect on people's gut microbiomes. Ergo, people would wind up getting massive amounts of diarrhea taking those drugs. It also is showing that your gut microbiome, if you develop gut dysbiosis, will wind up contributing to aging. One thing that I wanted to emphasize, though, is dysbiosis does not necessarily go and translate into deficiency. So depending upon what type of tests you might use, if you wanted to explore what your gut microbiome looks like, that's something that has to be accounted for as a part of your equation. And so, well, what's causing this dysbiosis? Well, simply because we're living in the wrong environment. We live in a state with a lack of nutrition, and we are constantly exposed to toxins. And again, that includes pharmaceuticals. The net result is increased inflammation, leaky gut, changes in the proportions of your individual microbiome colonies, and last but not least, it also weakens the integrity of your blood-brain barrier. And this is going to have a huge impact when it comes to the quality of life when we get older, just simply because of the critters not being happy within our intestines. Um, just talking about lack of nutrition, I needed to throw this picture up with the pantry here. It's kind of funny because I took this picture inside a hospital. And so everybody would sit there and think about that. Oh, I'm in a hospital. I'm going to be getting good choices. M&Ms are not a good choice. Okay. And you can see that like right down here. It's like clear as day. And so we are being just constantly bombarded with, lack of a better term, this food crap being advertised as actual food stuff. So why does this matter? Long story short, disease. The gut-brain axis is real. And this knowledge base, as I said, this is a new area of science. This is expanding all the time. And this is even contributing to the formation of this new thing called dysfunctional HDL. I know, Shannon, you and I have talked about this, but I guarantee probably 99% of the people on this call are like, I've never even heard about that. That will be a separate, different science call. But nonetheless, I wanted to throw that out there that all of this stuff, because of this symbiosis, is absolutely real. I actually came across this publication. This came out in February this year. It's a PNAS paper. This is the link to the actual full publication. They were able to induce multiple sclerosis via gut microbiota. So again, this just kind of shows to the power of the gut microbiome, either for or against you. If you want to learn more, I got to do a shameless plug because I actually have my own podcast called The Decoding Health. Here's an episode that I did with Dr. Malu Tanzi. She's one of the world's leading experts in the area of Alzheimer's disease as well as Parkinson's, and she talks at length regarding the gut-brain axis and the gut microbiome in terms of the development of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So let's talk a little bit about our product and when it comes to the gut microbiome, and that's specifically the balance. And you guys can go and look at all of our literature regarding the different components of all of this. But there's one thing that I wanted to emphasize here because I had a conversation with somebody who's very influential in the space, and I'm going to be having him on my podcast coming up here in a couple of weeks. And we had a really, really deep talk about fiber and how it influences the gut microbiome. And I wanted to emphasize the concept of matrix because balance is a fiber matrix. And I see everybody doing the ads or, the promotions on social media in which, you're starting to let it gel up and firm up. And he actually was making a very, very big stink for a positive reason why this is so important. And that's simply because of this concept of the matrix is absolutely necessary in order for fiber to be able to actually do its job regarding the gut microbiome. And I'm going to just give you guys a quick example. I've been thinking about this, how to turn around and appropriately explain this. So in order to shave, you need shaving cream and a razor. And so just imagine that I was going to shave my legs. Actually, forget get that image out of your mind. Imagine if Shannon was going to shave her legs. You could go and you could take shaving cream and just spray it on your leg and then take that razor and just start scraping away. However, though, that's not the best way to turn around and actually shave. What you need to do is you actually need to have that mechanical process and move that shaving cream, that lather around in order to get to the spots in order to shave. And this is the point that this individual was making with me. And this is where the matrix concept becomes so important is it allows peristalsis through your intestines to allow that spreading of the shaving cream around so you can actually go in and shave. Now, this is important because fiber is more than just poop. However, if you are interested in your gut microbiome, you have to deal with poop because that's where we get it from. So I'm a geek. I went and I did my gut microbiome analysis pre and post doing the Feel Great system. So I use this product called the GI Map. This actually has to get prescribed for you. It's not cheap. If anybody else is a geek here like I am and you want to do this, there is some level of cost associated with this. So back in February, before I started Feel Great, in March, April-ish of this year, I did a pre-screen and then I did a post-screen in September. So long story short, you get a whole ton of data on this. All of the massive, nasty pathogens and stuff like that, I was negative on both sides. Thank goodness, living here in the United States, I don't have to deal with that stuff. But nonetheless, this is some of the stuff that was really interesting. So you can obviously see this is my name here. This is the GI map test. Well, apparently somewhere along the way, and this is from February, I've been exposed to H. pylori. 50% of the people on this call have H. pylori as well. And as you can see here, it's red and it's high, but I had no idea that I was even exposed to this. After doing the field, and then I've got, we all have commensal bacteria. So these are bacteria that don't cause disease. And then these are the bacterial phyla, just the general classes of this. And so, like, I tried to take care of myself. I try to eat right. For the most part, these things are in the green. My lactobacillus is a little bit off. My rosaburia is getting into the red, so that one's off. Not too crazy, but not outstanding. Now, when you go and you look at the bacterial phyla, and this is where the warring tribes kind of come into play. As you can see here, both of these, um, even though if you look at the ratio, they're in the appropriate ratio. If you look at the actual size of the colonies, they had actually overpopulated my gut microbiome. So even though the proportions were correct, there was just too much of this there. And this is one of those things that we deal with in science in which you have too much of a good thing. It can actually lead into an inverse curve in which it goes up, things are going really good, and then it gets to a point where you have too much, and then everything goes really, really bad. And so this is something that I was completely and totally unaware of. And I don't know if anybody here has done their gut microbiome analysis, but this was my starting point. Well, come and go and do this in September again. Wait a second. I haven't done a round of antibiotics or anything like that. Still have the H. pylori. However, it's gone down. It's not highlighted in red. So my body has been able to, and the only change that I had made in that period of time was the use of the Feel Great system. And so I had been able to personally reduce the level of H. pylori in my system at the time of that second test. If you can come back here and look at my commensal bacteria, all of these have actually improved, especially the rosaburia. It went from all the way into the red over into the green. More importantly, my ratio between my firmicutes and my bacteriocytes still remains in the green. However, from an actual colony standpoint, those have both improved within the appropriate level of colonization that one would expect from the level of science that we know right now in terms of maintaining health. So I worked with a different nutritionist regarding this, and she was actually blown away with the simple fact that I hadn't intended to go and do anything. And just by happenstance doing this, I was able to go and improve my gut microbiome just by including the Feel Great system as a part of my personal journey with this. So, long story short, what is the power of the gut microbiome? Well, it can actually cause disease, as we showed in the study earlier regarding the multiple sclerosis, or it can even prevent disease. And there's actually a treatment out there. It's readily available in Europe. It's a little hard over here in the US to get approval for, but it's a fecal microbiota transplant, or FMT, aka a stool sample. And basically what they do is they take the feces, the fecal bacteria from a healthy donor, and they transplant that into the gut of an unhealthy individual. This is used for the treatment of certain inflammatory bowel diseases, such as like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. They've even used it in terms of the treatment of metabolic diseases, including obesity. Um, and so this is something of extreme power. And at least anecdotally from my experience, this is one of the clear-cut benefits that we're getting from the use of at least the balance when it comes to the Feel Great system, because that's what the balance is supposed to provide. If you want to learn more about this, I actually already did an episode on this a while back regarding fecal transplant and obesity. So again, I throw this out there for everybody in the organization. Go to my podcast. I talk about, even if I wasn't a even if Shannon didn't allure me into unicity here, I would be still doing all of these different episodes anyways. And so since this is an alignment between what I'm already doing and offering some level of benefit to you guys, please by all means go on there, take what you want, learn from this stuff, share it with people, just so you have an additional voice telling the story, just so that you are able to go and just kind of get the word out and get people to understand that there is some pretty hardcore science, regarding all of this. So just trying to be mindful of the time here, Shannon. So I just want to turn it back over to you. And I don't know if we're going to do any questions or anything like that, but I'm more than happy to go and answer anything if we do have time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll do questions at the end after I explain what this amazing balance that you've just spoken so highly of is. So I really appreciate that. Guys, for those of you who don't know, H. pylori is a bacteria that is not a good thing. I got it. Oh my gosh, I got it years and years and years ago when I worked at Piedmont, and for well over a month, was, crumbled over in pain. I had to be treated with antibiotics for months and months. I mean, it is no joke. And I think it's the #1 cause of stomach cancer. So the fact that your gut was able to heal itself by providing it the right environment, is huge. So with that being said, y'all, I am going to share my screen, and we are going to talk about what is the Feel Great system. Well, I thought I was going to share my screen. Let's see. Let me go back and try that again. Right there. Okay. Can y'all see that? It's not showing on my end. Hold on. Uh-oh.
We can see like the top of the URL bar, but not the screen
Okay.
real well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can see it on my end. 1 second. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. Let's see. Not that. Okay. I think we will be there if I try it one more time. Okay. I'm a dietitian, not a IT person, as that is very obvious. Okay. And is that better?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. All right. We're good. Okay. So the Feel Great system, guys, what is this? First off, I want you to look at the list of these symptoms, and I want you to notice if any of these on here stand out in regards to yourself or to someone that you love and care about, or maybe somebody you stood behind in the grocery store today, right? Skin tags. Those are very easy to spot. I know you know people in your life that have had PCOS, erectile dysfunction, maybe not so much talked about, fatty liver, Almost every liver we transplanted was from fatty liver disease. High blood pressure. The two main causes of dialysis, the people that I worked with every day, diabetes and hypertension, right? Cancer. We are learning that I would say well over 90% of cancers come from some type of insulin resistance. How many of y'all, get up constantly in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? How many of you eat a meal and then like soon after you're hungry and you're like, how can this be? I just ate, right? Alzheimer's, also known as type 3 diabetes, dementia, okay? Burning of your feet. I mean, we can go on and on. Neuropathy, retinopathy, migraines. You heard Tanya, she doesn't have migraines anymore. So the list goes on and on. And these things aren't necessarily caused by a lack of willpower or a lack of discipline. I know it's very easily thrown off onto you by the healthcare industry, somebody like me that would say, you know what? You just need to eat a little bit less. You need to exercise more. Quit eating so much fat. Stop going through the drive-through. Well, you know what? If it was that easy, Shannon, we'd all do it. Nobody'd be overweight. Everybody'd be nice and fit and trim. It's just not the case. Because I can promise you this, no one wants to be sick. No one wants to have diabetes. No one wants to be 400 pounds. No one wants to be on 19 different meds. But we don't know how to get off. We go to the doctor. We do as we're told. We take our medicine like good boys and girls. And yet, when we go back, we get told, your numbers just aren't where I want them. We're going to up the dose or we're going to put you on a different med. Guys, this isn't necessarily your fault. It's the food environment that we live in. It's what we've told you to do. We told you, I told you, your doctors told you, and I'm sorry, to eat every 2 to 3 hours, to get rid of all the fat, to focus on lots of whole grains, fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and to snack. And unfortunately, the foods that we snack on are devoid of fiber. Why? Because fiber doesn't necessarily taste so great. Fiber doesn't last very long on the shelf, and it's not really good for stable products, right? We want something that's quick and easy and tastes good. And those are in a bag, in a box, in a barcode. And guess what? They contribute to the problems that we see today. We get up in the morning, and how many breakfast foods are sweet? We have waffles. We have oatmeal. And I don't know about you, but there's no way I'm eating a bowl of oatmeal plain. That's gross. It's going to have some sugar and some butter in it. It's that's how you have it. Pancakes, right? Pastries. What about a big old granola bowl? And then you need your juice, right? So it goes on, and you can see why maybe your kids or children that or teachers, if you have to, why it's hard to pay attention. I couldn't pay attention. So we eat this, we snack. Why? Because we're hungry constantly. We are making our insulin come up, and it drops our glucose, and we're hungry again. So as you can see, we spend our entire day eating, and those foods are not likely going to be the good things, because good things take a little bit longer time to prepare, and they're not going to last sitting at our desk or in our car, right? When we remove the good components, the fiber that Urban just talked about, that truly helped heal his gut, how did it do that? Fiber's not for us. Fiber's for our gut microbiome. That's their food. So Urban provided a good food environment for his gut. And I like to compare it to this. So Dr. Robert Lustig, for any of you who know who he is, he's brilliant. He wrote a book called Metabolical, and I think I heard a little birdie say he's going to be on Urban's podcast. But regardless, when we talk about prebiotics and probiotics, we're going to think of, because I grew up on a farm, so just humor me, we're going to think of the bugs in your gut like cows. Okay, so you got a pen of cows. Now, when you take probiotics and probiotics and probiotics, you're adding more cows to that cattle pen. You're just adding more cows. why would you need to keep adding cows? Why don't you just provide them the proper food? If you provide your cows with good food, they're going to grow into good, big, healthy cows. You don't have to keep replacing them. So see if that kind of makes sense. I love it because I love cows, but it made total sense to me. But if we talk about balance, which Urban talks so much about, it is a fiber matrix. It is a blend of 7 different types of soluble and insoluble fibers. You need both. It forms an impenetrable membrane in your GI tract, which lowers glucose naturally. How many of you struggle with high glucose? Right? Many of us. This lowers it up to 43%. This is proven by clinical studies, not because Shannon says so, not because Urban says so, but because the clinical studies say so. All right. The Cleveland Clinic, one of the top cardiac hospitals in the nation, said this could, on a population basis, replace lipid lowering, aka statins, right? So you have a natural alternative to lower your glucose, make your gut healthy, get fuller faster, it expands, you're going to stay fuller longer, and your lipids are going to improve. My triglycerides went from 250 down to 50 by just incorporating this little packet. The other component of this, it is called a system, the Feel Great system is called Unimate, right? How many of you have heard of yerba mate? We hear Dr. Andrew Huberman talk about it. I just heard Metabolic Mike talk about it. Our great Dr. Ben Bickman talks about it. Even Messi, they took over 1,200 pounds of mate to the World Cup. Why? Because this stuff is powerful. It contains something called chlorogenic acid. And what does that do? Well, funny that you ask. It increases our GLP-1 production by up to 60 to 70%. So it does what those synthetic drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy do on a natural basis, working with our own GLP-1 that our body makes with no side effects. So guess what? It shuts that food noise off. It provides great energy. It's one of the most potent anti-inflammatories I've ever seen. So people with IBS, people with rheumatoid arthritis, people with Crohn's, rosacea, eczema, do very, very well when you lower the inflammation. Insulin's highly inflammatory. It helps with mood and focus, right? It improves insulin sensitivity. And so how do these work? How do you incorporate these into your life? Well, very, very easily. If you can tear open these little packs, you can do this system. So I like to do some intermittent fasting. And when I say intermittent fasting, all I'm saying is we're going to shrink our eating window. I didn't say eat less, just less often. And you can do that however you want. That's the beautiful thing is you make it work for you. I like to skip breakfast, but you know what? I've been thinking in the new year, I think I'm gonna shift my eating window to eat earlier and stop eating earlier in the day versus what I'm doing now. I'm gonna change it up. So I drink this when I'm fasting. Why? Because it's the best pre-workout I've ever used. And I like to work out in the morning fasted. It's great. It gives me energy. It tastes fantastic. I don't crave coffee anymore. And it shuts off the food noise. I then proceed to eat lunch, okay? I focus on high fiber, high protein, good quality fats, but I drink this little fiber pack prior to that meal. I drink another one of these in the afternoon. Why not? Who gets tired in the afternoon? Who gets a little munchy in the afternoon? That's where this comes in. You will not. I used to, when I was in pharma sales, I worked out of my car. So the laughing joke was the guy that washed my car all the time he would laugh at all the food that he would find between my seat and the console because all I did all day was eat. I mean, what else are you going to do in the car? I've gotten a new car since then. I've never eaten in my car. And it's not because I don't want to eat in a new car. It's because I don't feel the need to. Okay. And then I mix up a pack of this and have it before dinner. So we have thousands of people at this point who have been on this protocol. You just heard Urban. My story is my triglycerides, right? 250 down to 50. My energy. I'm lifting more weight than I've ever lifted. You heard Tanya and her husband Brent and her daughter Kendall. We have so many more that have adopted this protocol. If If any of you on here have tried this, I'd love to see it. Put it in the chat. What has it done for you? Has it lowered your A1C? There's a gentleman, one of the first people that I ever worked with, who lowered his A1C from over 16 down to 5 and lost 146 pounds. We see right here, gout. How many of you have had gout? Gout is nothing to joke about, okay? It's pretty painful. Gone. It's a metabolic disease. So when you fix the root cause, guess what happens? A1C 13.8 down to 5.9. He's lost 89 pounds. You know, cholesterol, triglycerides. The stories go on and on. There's another story of a gentleman, Michael, who I bet's on here. I think he said he lost well over 116 pounds in 6 months and off 24 of 25 medications. Guys, these natural options work. And again, it's been life-changing for me. I know many of you on here have experienced that. I hope we're seeing them come in. I cannot see them in the chat. Let me try to get out of here and see if I can pull up some of these. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and see if I can read some of these. A1C 13.5 to 6.9. No more inflammation, no more leaky gut. So Diane healed her gut. She's sleeping at night. She's lost 40 pounds in 3.5 months off of meds. Her mom reversed her type 2 diabetes, off blood pressure meds. Started in size 18, now wearing a size 12, down 30 pounds. 45 pounds gone, rosacea gone, heart palpitations gone, blurred vision gone, floaters gone. Down 23 pounds, no longer on hormones, joint pain gone. A1C from 6.4 to 5.7 in a year and a half. Down 3 sizes in a few months. Size 22 down to a 16. Let's see. Off 4 antidepressants after 25 years. No more chronic fatigue, IBS, skin tags, hair loss. Suppressed my appetite exponentially. I stopped drinking coffee in the morning and now I'm able to fast. I'm only on my 2nd month, but hopefully we'll see results. This regimen has squashed my chronic UTIs, right? Lost 20 pounds, triglycerides down. Went down 39 points in triglycerides. Our cholesterol went down 39 points, triglycerides down 4 points, A1C down 3 points, down 4 dress sizes. Guys, on and on and on and on. So what I would like to do now is if you have questions, Urban, I'm going to let you come back on here and let's take some questions. And then if we don't have any questions, guess what? You get out of here in less than an hour. Try to do my best. Keep it short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Does anybody have questions? Let's see. I just saw a question come in. Urban, if you've seen any, you feel free to. Okay. How to manage going from diarrhea to constipation. Do you want to take that, Urban, or you want me to?
You're the dietitian. That's in
right.
your
That's
court.
right. I like to talk about poop. Okay. So if you've gone from diarrhea to constipation, what I would recommend is that you are drinking enough fluids. We oftentimes don't drink enough fluids. Get in at least half your body weight in ounces of fluid. And I would also recommend adding a good quality electrolyte. As our insulin comes down, we start to lose a lot of salt and a lot of good electrolytes. And that's very important for pooping properly. Okay. Is this protocol good for menopause? Absolutely. I've had many ladies that are going perimenopause, in menopause, and postmenopausal do very, very well. Let's see. Urban, how does alcohol affect the gut microbiome?
Badly. Actually, I'm not a big drinker, but the more I'm reading, and this might be wildly unpopular on with some of the people here, I'm rethinking, is there actually even any safe level of alcohol for consumption if you actually truly want to thrive. And so yeah, it's at this point in time in my life, no alcohol the better if you can. That's going to be my personal suggestion. Um, and that's what I'm going to go and stick with that for right now without trying to go too deep into things.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to get to see. Um, let's see.
I saw a question regarding home test for H. pylori. So the test, the GI map I used, I did that in the comfort and the privacy of my own home, rather than having to go into a clinic or something like that. You just need to go and find somebody who works with ordering and analyze those test results.
Okay. Perfect. Is the product good for diverticulosis? Do you want to answer that? Or you
I
want-
saw that there was a conversation going back and forth. I'm not sure. That's a tough one because your gut is so inflamed. You really need to go and work with your treating physician on that one. There are different schools of thought regarding going with high fiber or low fiber as a part of the treatment. The issue is though is they're going to be slapping you on an antibiotic as well as some sort of anti-inflammatory steroid or NSAIDs on that, and that's going to have a massive impact on your gut microbiome. So you might be in a position while you're trying to work through all of these additional treatments, you'll be going back and forth between potential diarrhea and um, and possibly constipation, not necessarily associated with the use of balance, but it's from these other treatments that are going on. So
And I'll throw in, if you have a diverticulosis, from a dietitian standpoint, I'm going to say yes, use it. If you have a litis or you have an inflammatory flare up, I would say that might be a time to like hold off, let that subside, and then you could add it back. Is it safe for pregnancy and trying to conceal? Yes, it's just food products. Any contraindications for blood thinners? I'm not a doctor, but I do not see any. I've worked with many of clients that have been on blood thinners. My dad's actually on one and there's no interaction. How much product is typically needed for a month? So, for me, I drink 2 teas and 2 fibers, but the protocol comes with either 2 Unimate and 1 balance a day, or you could do 2 balance and 1 Unimate, but you can always add additional balance or Unimate to it, but typically 3 sachets a day. Let's see. Do you drink it every day? Absolutely. I've never missed a day in 3 years. Are electrolytes good for you? I am an electrolyte fan, so I would say yes. We have a great electrolyte here called Signal. It's one of the best I've ever seen. And as you're reversing insulin resistance or cutting out carbs, guys, you may have heard of the keto flu. There isn't really a flu. It's an electrolyte imbalance. So you want to stay on top of staying hydrated and getting good quality electrolytes. So, Victoria, how is the fiber different? So the fiber is different because this is a blend of 7 different types of soluble and insoluble fiber. Each one of these fibers really does a specific thing. And so, one of the fibers works on lowering glucose. One of the fibers works on lowering triglycerides. One of the fibers works on expanding in the gut and activating the stretch receptors. One of the fibers works on lowering the LDL cholesterol. So they're different in the fact that it's a multi-source fiber product of soluble and insoluble fibers. There's also some B vitamins, some chromium, some zinc, and a patented fiber matrix. So it's not a Metamucil. If you have high blood pressure, actually most high blood pressures are a symptom of insulin resistance. So I think that if you can adopt this protocol, what you might find more often than not is that your high blood pressure vastly improves. So, Can you drink coffee? You certainly can drink coffee, but please don't drink it with a ton of sugar-laden creamers and sugar. I would drink it black. That's not my thing. You can add a splash of heavy cream and some allulose or stevia or monk fruit. I'm going to answer a few more and then we're going to call it a night. Let's see, does the product have caffeine? So Robert, the Unimate has a little bit less than a typical cup of coffee, about 50 to 120 milligrams, but we do have a decaf version that just came out that has less than 15 milligrams, right? All right, let's see. One more. Who's going to be one more? What can you do for constant diarrhea? Brandy, for constant diarrhea, number one, I would make sure that there's not a health condition going on. There's something called C. diff, and you want to make sure that you don't have that. It could be some of the medication that you're on. Also, guys, as we're cleaning up our diet, we're reversing the insulin resistance. We're losing electrolytes. We have a lot of, like, I would say, quotes, detoxing going on in our body. We're getting rid of a lot of nasty things and our body's undergoing some change. So start slow. Maybe you start with half a pack of Balance. Focus on getting rid of the inflammatory seed oils. Focus on getting rid of the ultra processed foods. Focus on good quality animal proteins, high fiber vegetables, and ease into it. And yes, somebody with a kidney transplant can take this. So with that being said, guys, Urban, any last words?
No, I appreciate everybody's attention. I love doing
Awesome.
these calls with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, guys. Thank you so much for joining our call. I hope that you learned something about poop and your gut. I hope that you were able to learn a little bit about this amazing protocol that's changed my life and many people that are on here. If you are interested in trying it out for yourself, please reach out to the person that invited you to this call. They'd be happy to share their discount link so that will save you money. And then we will make sure that you're a part of our community. We have a private Facebook page. We have these calls every week and we would love to have you back because knowledge is power. So I hope y'all have a great rest